Right, welcome to the midweek edition of the Old Paratrooper podcast, where we chat about all things mental health. Today, I am joined with former para, specialist in PTSD and hypnotherapy, Joe Corrigan. How you doing, Joe? All right?
You all right, Chris? Good to see you, mate.
Nice one, pal. Thank you very much for taking the time to come on and obviously talk about this very important topic. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So what I like to do with the podcast, obviously I'd like to get a bit of a background, a kind of about yourself, where you grew up and stuff, and what led you down the kind of para route, and then obviously what kind of led you on to kind of specializing in the field that you do.
Yeah, well, I'm an old codger now. I'm 65-year-old, so
65
I've got a lot of
years
years
young.
behind me. I'm born and bred in Bradford. As a young lad, I've been always interested in mind, and the way I joined the paras were obviously I wanted to join the best regiment that going, so I always wanted to be a para, no matter what. And but what put me off was I had a fear of heights. I was scared stiff of heights, but I'd always admired the people jumping out of airplanes and that. And that's something I wanted to do. And I was 18-year-old when I joined for para, and I just decided I was going to conquer my fears and get through it that way. And luckily enough, I did. And that was all through the mind. That's why I'm a great believer in the mind. There's a lot of things that have overcome is by positive thinking. And I've got 3 favourite words that I always use, and that's just do it. No matter how much you're afraid or you've got the negative belief that you can't do it, use them 3 words, just do it. If it fails, it fails. Learn from your failures. If it don't, works out okay, then fair enough. So I always go by them 3 words, just do it.
No, fair play, Paul. And it's sometimes it's about kind of testing yourself. It's putting yourself out the comfort zone. And I think a lot of people say no to a lot of stuff when sometimes, and this comes down to everything. It's about sometimes just saying, you know what? Yep, I'll do it. And I suppose that comes down to kind of where we're at with the mental health as well. It's people
definitely
accepting, to say, yes, I need help. And yes, I need to do something about it, rather than being like, as we well know, lots of people out there are like, no, there's nothing wrong with me. No, I'm fine. And that seems to be a common phrase as well, doesn't it? No, I'm fine. And you're not. So.
Yeah, that's right. There's always been this stigma about mental health, and it still goes on today, but it's not as bad as what it used to be in my days going past. I mean, they didn't even have the label as PTSD in my days. I mean, World War One, World War Two, it were suffering from shell shock, wasn't it? And no one really understood it, and you were left to your own devices to try and help yourself with it.
But, no, absolutely. That's only come about. Still, that is probably in the last, I want to say maybe 20, 30 years. Certainly in the last 10 years, we've become more aware of it, and kind of, I'd like to say we're getting on top of it. But as I always say, I always push this figure out, that it's still 22 veterans a day. So I believe that take their own life. So, it's still not enough is being done, or there's not enough support out there. But I am a believer in people also need to help themselves as well, and that's why I'm trying to encourage people to kind of open up a bit and just kind of diminish that kind of stigma around it.
Yeah, that's right. Well, hats off to anyone that actually does anything with mental health and is willing to discuss it. I mean, you having this podcast is hopefully going to help a lot of people. And that's why I want to just spread the news that there's alternative ways and treatments of coping with PTSD or any mental health issues. That's including anxiety and depression and things like that. So it's not just about PTSD and helping the veterans. There's a hell of a lot of people out there that do suffer with depression and anxiety. And to be honest, everyone's gone through it, no matter who it is. No matter how happy they're saying, someone at some time in their life have gone through some sort of depression and anxiety. We all suffer from it from time to time. It's how you cope and how you deal with that gets you through it.
No, absolutely, pal. Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's obviously varying degrees, and obviously how people kind of manage it and how they go. And some people are able to manage it themselves and just kind of, kind of work it out themselves. And then obviously there's people that kind of need that external help, to kind of, sort of conquer it, as you were. And some people probably never will conquer it. It's just about kind of the management of it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Well, when I first joined four para, I did 9 years with four para, and in 1981, this where I were attached to three para, went over to Canada. I met some really great lads over there, and sadly, they went to Falklands a year after, and some of them didn't come back. And I know a lot of guys that have done the Falklands that are still suffering to this day with PTSD and mental health issues. And that's one of the main reasons when I came out 9 years later, when I were out and finished with that, I wanted to do something to help the veterans because there just wasn't enough about.
Yeah.
You were getting nothing from the MOD, and the lads that were having the counselling, it just didn't seem to work. I'm not knocking all counselling. So counselling, I mean, I'm trained in it myself. I've got a diploma in CBT, which does work to a certain extent, but it don't get to the proper root cause of what's causing the problems, and that's in your subconscious mind. And the only way you can get deep into that subconscious mind is through hypnosis.
Yeah, so for the viewers and listeners and that, can you just explain what CBT is, if that's okay?
Yeah, cognitive behavioral therapy. It's a long out thing. It's changing your mindset to a certain extent, but like I say, it's difficult getting to the root cause of it. A lot of times, it's not just one trauma that's caused any problems with the mental health. It's a amalgamation of everything that's happened over your life, all the negative shit that's you've gone through in your life, and it's just a build up. It's like a pressure cooker waiting to go off. But like I say, all the veterans that I've checked, majority of them have been through the counselling, the CBT, and they've tried other things. And when it came to hearing about hypnosis, a lot of them don't believe it. They're very sceptical about it, which I was myself. I mean, I got into hypnosis I used to work on doors, and they had an event on with the hypnosis on stage, event, a comedy hypnosis. I watched that and it just blew my mind away. I thought, well, surely it's all fake, it's acting, it's not right. It was funny, the things that they had them doing, but then again, with me being inquisitive about the mind and how the mind works, I thought, well, how come they're doing that? Why are they doing it? What's making them doing that? And if their mind thinks it's so powerful that they can't even remember the names, or in the time they had them clucking like a duck and things like that. But if they can do that, they actually, in the moment, thought they were doing that. It was there stuck in their subconscious, and I thought, well, if they can believe that, you can believe anything. Your mind's a very, very powerful thing. It is.
Yeah, I think what's happened with that. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I think what's happened with the whole hypnotherapy. I think because it was sort of, you had Paul McKenna on telly and people, they got people doing a bit, and like you say, for almost comedy effect, and had people doing bits and bobs. I think that's probably where the negative kind of stigmas come. They're like, well, yeah, it's obviously a bit of a piss take and everything else, but obviously it's not quite. I'm sure there's some very similarities between what they kind of do on stage and everything else, but I assume it's obviously in a much more controlled manner. I mean, you're the person to tell us about it. How does it how does it work, and where do you start with someone when they come in for kind of hypnotherapy or sign up for it?
Yeah, well, I start by doing a consultation first. That can be over the phone, or I prefer to work in person. You meet the person. Obviously, you've got to get some sort of understanding and some sort of rapport between yourselves. I mean, if they're coming in instantly and they take a dislike to you, and that is not going to go right well, you've got to get to know one another, make them feel comfortable so they can talk about any problems that they've got. There's sometimes I use hypnosis and I do it content free. I don't even have to know what trauma they've been through, because I don't really like taking them back to that. And they've suffered from it for many years. Why take them back to that event? But there's everybody's different. Sometimes you have got to do that to get rid of the feelings, all thoughts, the amount of feelings after thinking the bad shit. You feel like bad and you feel like shit. So I turn that round, turn it into the positives and make them feel better. What I'm doing is sort of rewiring the brain. For many years, they've had this negative belief that they've been told they've got PTSD, which to me is just a label. And doctors throw tablets at you and tell you you've got PTSD, you've got it for the rest of your life. And to be honest, it's a load of bollocks. You don't always have to have it. I've had some lads that have actually been, I can honestly say now, they've been cured from PTSD, and they'll say they no longer suffer from it. And it's not for everyone. I mean, some still suffer, but I can teach them how to control the flashbacks and turn the feelings around and turn it into a positive, so they're not really bad with it. But it's all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. I've just got the tools to guide them into self-hypnosis. You've got your subconscious and your conscious brain. Conscious brain's what you mainly think with through day, making the decisions with your subconscious. That's 80% of your brain is your subconscious. That's where you do your breathing automatically. You just breathe and your heart's pumping. You don't have to think about it or anything like that. Well, the subconscious mind holds on to everything negative, everything positive it can hold on to. But over the years, it's like a computer, and it goes into your subconscious mind. Things that have gone wrong in your life. It might be even little things that you can't remember as you get older, but that has affected you, and it's always been in the back of your mind. And for some reason, that's holding you back. So it's for me to investigate into the subconscious mind, ask questions, find out. Everybody's completely different. I can't tell you one thing that will cure it like that. Cause like I say, everyone's different. Everyone's got different reasons why they suffer from mental health. But they hold on to that mental health problems with the subconscious mind. It's down to me to get deep into the subconscious mind, which you do through hypnosis, get them into that relaxed hypnotic state, and then you just very suggestible. When they're in that hypnotic state, you are very suggestible. You'll do and believe what you're being told. So I just bombard the subconscious mind with positive suggestions and have them believe in the positive things, that they can turn things around. And usually the subconscious mind will always win the conscious mind. So it's down to me to overturn that and have more positive thoughts than the negative. So I get rid of all the negative shit out of the subconscious mind and fill it with all the positive. And that's where I go work from there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it boils down to, I mean, it's well beyond my kind of comprehension as such. I like how you've explained it. I obviously understand it, but again, probably comes down to that, like we talked about at the start, the willingness to seek help in the first place, isn't it? You've got to be kind of open to that kind of, because do you get kind of a lot of people that come in and a bit kind of standoffish with it? And I should imagine they're probably more difficult to treat if they're not willing to kind of go with it. Does that make sense?
That does make sense, and that's exactly what it is. If I can get someone that doesn't believe it in whatsoever, and if they've got it in their mind, in their subconscious mind, that no matter what I say, no matter what I do, I'm not going to be able to hypnotize them, then to be honest, I won't be able to hypnotize them, and I'll tell them so. and I won't be able to treat them. They're totally against it, and that if they're a bit sceptical, like myself was at first, and the majority of veterans, some of them are, but they're willing and they're wanting to help themselves and cure themselves and stop the misery and the dark demons that come into the mind. If they want to get rid of that, and they totally 100% want to get rid of that, and they start to believe that this hypnosis can do that, then it will do. Like I say, all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. It's down to them to cure themselves. But if they really believe they can do it, they will do it. It'll help them tremendously. Now, I've seen it firsthand and surprised a lot of people. The veterans that I've been getting has been from this other mental health group from Simon that runs Battle Buddies UK. And he used to send me the veterans, and we run from an office local to us. And the one lad that had come in, he'd been to Afghan and Iraq, and he'd lost. He split up from his wife. He were on the drugs. He were alcoholic. He could hardly talk. He was in tears all the time. And I went. This was just a free consultation. I was doing consultation with him, and he was that bad that I said to Simon, "I'm going to treat him now because he needs help now." Anyway, I went through a session with it, stayed a bit longer with him, and he come out of that session a completely different character. They were full of positive things and really looking forward to doing some hypnosis sessions with us. And they were talking clearly. He were no longer upset. He were looking forward to getting off the drugs, getting off the booze. And you could tell he was determined to do it. Really nice young lad. Best young lad I've ever met. I'm not going to mention any names, but he's been really well known, and he's got over it. And he has. He manages. He's back with his girlfriend and kids, and he's living life to the full. He's getting out there, enjoying life, and he's no longer on the drugs. He don't even drink any alcohol whatsoever now. So we did have to send him to rehab over in Liverpool. They did a 3-month rehab, and that were over a 3-month period. So, but without the mindset and changing that mindset, there's no way he'd have even wanted to go into rehab or anything like that. He just lost everything, and to him it were that way. It's all over. There's nothing nobody can do. He'd had the counselling and everything else, and on that session, I didn't really want to talk or take him back to what had happened over in Afghan, and but he says, "No, Joe, I want to tell you," because he'd been bottling up all them years. And I had an understanding with him, me being ex-army and that, so he'd been to other psychiatrists and counsellors, but they're not on the same wavelength of someone that's been in military. And we had a good understanding, and I just let him speak, let it all out. And he told me everything that had happened with the trauma that causes PTSD. It were, like I say, it were a number of other things as well. It wasn't just that one event, but that's the main event that triggered all the problems that he had. There's always some sort of trigger that starts it.
Yeah, and what you touched on there, and I think that is good that you've kind of also served as well, because soldiers are, and it's a bit of a double-edged sword with soldiers, because they're kind of, the mindset tends to be kind of determined, strong-willed, everything that kind of makes a soldier. So at the same time, they're going to be the ones that are, obviously through the nature of their work, witness stuff that's not very nice, but at the same time, they're going to be the harder ones to break down as well, because of that mindset. And a bit like, but obviously talking to a soldier that can relate and that serve, one that's good for you in kind of encouraging a relationship, but that's surely got to have the trust in you as well, because I know if I was going to talk to someone about anything like that, I'd probably want it to someone that had been in the forces and understand, because civilians don't necessarily understand the kind of military culture, rightly or wrongly. It's just, it's different it's different worlds, isn't it? So,
Yeah,
do you find that definitely helps with you being ex-military as well then?
yeah, definitely with the veterans it does. Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, if they hear you've served any military service whatsoever, then they warm more to you. But they think, well, he'll be easier to talk to than something like I say, some civvy that knows nothing about military service or anything like that. So yeah, and I just love helping people. I do.
Brilliant. And also, it's not just obviously PTSD you treat and stuff like that. You help people with kind of weight loss management and
Yeah,
smoking and alcohol and drugs as well, don't you?
yeah. Hypnosis can be used for anything. It can, especially nowadays, stopping smoking, which I find absolutely piss easy. In a 2-hour session, I can stop someone that's been smoking 40 years, and they'll walk out completely not wanting a cigarette ever again. And I've got 100% record in that. But I'm different to a lot of therapists because I've had some that have come into me. I mean, hypnotherapy isn't cheap as well, and it's quite dear trying to go through all your studies and getting your diplomas in it. It costs a lot of money. But if you're doing it as a living, then people think, oh, well, it seems a little bit dear, that, but is it dear to absolutely change your life and stop you spending all the money on smoking and stopping helping your health and things like that? So it's not dear whatsoever, but it's all down to your own mindset. I've had them come into me and they say, "Oh, my wife sent me. She wants me to stop smoking. I'm sick of her bloody complaining about me bloody smoking and smell and all that." And after talking with them, discussing with them, I say, "Look, well, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to treat you." And they're right shocked because I'm like that. I'm a Yorkshireman. I've just speaking mind. And he says, "I'm not going to treat you." He says, "It's not going to work for you." He says, "What do you mean it's not going to work for me?" He says, "It's because you're not coming to me wanting to do it yourself. You've got an excuse there. It's your wife nagging at you. That's the reason why you're coming to me." He says, "If you can prove at me that you want to definitely stop 100% yourself, then fair enough, I'll treat you. And I know for a fact you want to stop and you believe you're going to stop, then I'll give you a session." He said, "But up to that, I'm not going to take your money off you. It's bad protocol. It's bad for my reputation because I know it's not going to work. So I'd sooner you save your money and go try and find somewhere else that'll take it. So
Yeah,
I don't want to do all that."
yeah, it comes back to that wanting to help yourself, doesn't it? And you probably get people in that are kind of depressed and stuff as well that will come in and go, "Oh, but my missus is sick of me being like this," and
Yeah,
it's the same sketch, isn't it? You've got to want to self-help, and that is kind of a big message that I'm really, really trying to get out there. Is that if no one knows that you're sick and you kind of lock yourself away, you don't talk about it, then how are people going to know and how are people going to help you? And I kind of I've gone with a route of, if I can get big burly tough paratroopers, Royal Marines, okay, not as tough but still pretty tough, that's going to cause some controversy. It always does. I love that bit. And soldiers alike that are kind of tough, hardy, to come up and open up, then hopefully this will expand into the kind of civilian world as well. And they'll see people who go, well, if that tough soldier there can, chat about his feelings and chat about his mental health, then surely I can as well. And I think that's an important message,
yeah, definitely. I mean, I know when I were younger, when well, I believe I suffered from PTSD myself. Not through my military background. It was a football. I don't know whether you've heard about it, but the football tragedy at Bradford City. The fire.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was there on that day, and that affected me a lot. And I'm me like anyone else. I just bottled it up, but I knew there was something wrong. That it was affecting me. But with me being into the mind and believing self healing and or at the time I was studying hypnosis then, and I thought, oh, I'm going to kill myself, but there's definitely something up. I mean, PTSD wasn't even known in them days, so a lot of times you just had to get on with it. But I know for a fact that I had it then, that were affecting me big time. It was.
That
So,
was a nasty kind of incident. I've seen the footage. We're also shown the footage of that because I'm obviously a firefighter now,
yeah,
and we've shown the footage in training of that about the fire behaviour and everything else. And kind of there was a player that played for, I don't name him, but he played for Bradford City. And then when he finished playing football, he played at that match and witnessed it all, and that led him on to join the Fire and Rescue Service in Nottinghamshire, and he served for 30 years with as a result of that incident
yeah,
because it affected him deeply as well. You know, because again, it was horrendous, wasn't it?
that's right. Yeah, I mean, any trauma like that, especially trauma, you go into fight, flight, or freeze mode. And at the time, I was studying TOPP, and I just froze. It was like watching a horror movie. And I looked, and I saw people absolutely burning to death in there. And then it just clicked. I come out of it and thought, "What are you doing? Just fucking study here. Go and help someone." So I ran down, jumped over a wall, and I tried to get close as I could, but the heat was just horrendous. It was. But there were a policeman struggling with this woman to drag her over the wall. So I helped the policeman, and we both dragged her over. Her back were on fire. We put that out. In fact, that weekend I've just got a new AB jacket, and I'd been putting her out, and I destroyed my jacket with that. It was a brand new jacket. But what stuck in my mind was one lad that was trying to get over the fence away from stand, and his coat was stuck, and he was stuck on the barbed wire fence, and I couldn't get to him. By then, the roof was on fire. There was hot burning tar falling on him and everything, and that just stuck with me. And it was the guilt not being able to help more than anything, know what I mean? But after the event, every crowded place I went into, I was looking for exit doors and ways out. I mean, majority of paratroopers anyway. I don't know about you, but when I sit in a pub, I always have my back up wall so I can see everything. My wife thinks I'm absolutely crazy. Come on, sit down anywhere. I've always got to be able to see everything that's going on around me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I suffer from that, and I was in a really dark place at the time, and so I feel for people that have been through shit like that. That's been definitely doing combat and that. And there's no help out there for them. So that's another reason why I wanted to do hypnotherapy, and it does work definitely.
That's it's good, but it's not good. But it's kind of very helpful again if you have suffered with it yourself, because then it helps you understand the people that come in and are suffering, and it's relatable, isn't it? And I think all these things are very, very important. I'm not going to say that they're all, because I'm sure there's plenty of counsellors out there and hypnotherapists that haven't had traumatic incidents. But I think certainly with PTSD and that, if you have suffered with it yourself, then that can only be helpful towards helping your clients,
Yeah. Like it's building some sort of rapport with them, and just getting that trust. And once you've got that trust and they believe that you can help them, then you're on a winner. Because they just help themselves. Then, if they believe they want to do it, then they will do it. Like I say, I've just got the tools and the knowledge and the guide them through hypnosis to the subconscious mind to switch things over. And I mean, the most positive thing is by talking positively to yourself. Everyone suffers from it. You've got that little man on your shoulder telling you, "Oh, you can't do that. You're not good enough for that. You feel shy today. You've no energy," or all like that. And your subconscious takes it in and believes it. Your subconscious mind believes anything. But you get another man on the side arguing with that bloke and saying, "No, you're not getting into my mind. I'm feeling good today. I'm feeling healthy. I'm feeling fit and healthy, and my mind's clear. I'm not having any negative thoughts." And you battle that other little man on your shoulder, and That's how you do it, and you get through these things. But there's ways of I teach them how to do that, because everyone has negative thoughts. As soon as it comes in, you've got to tell it to piss off and just sort of rewire that around with all the positive.
No, absolutely, pal, absolutely. Well, Joe, it's been an absolute pleasure. How do, if for the people and viewers watching, how do they kind of, if they're kind of thinking about hypnotherapy and that, what you have a website, don't you? What's that website?
I do. Well, I'm sort of semi-retired now. My my Facebook page is Hypnotherapy Will Help. There's a good review on there actually by Simon from Battle Buddies that talks about the veterans that he sent me to help with the PTSD. So if you want to watch that, and get in touch with us at Hypnotherapy Will Help.
Brilliant, pal. And one final message for anyone that's kind of doubting it or kind of thinking about it. What would you say to them to kind of say, look, come and give it a try?
I'd go back to them 3 words that I'm a great believer in. Just do it. How do you know whether it's going to help you or not until you've done it? And it certainly does help you. I mean, hypnosis, it's not like people believe. You can't get stuck on it. There's no bloody evil in it. It's not dangerous or anything. You're not asleep, but you're not fully awake. You're in that subconscious mind where you're totally relaxed and you sit very highly suggestible. You know everything that's going on around you. You know everything that's happening. It's like driving a car. Everyone, even those that say, "Oh, you can't hypnotize me," it's a lot of crap. Everyone gets hypnotized every day. You can be driving down the road on a route that you always take. You get home and you think, "Bloody hell, how have I got here? I can't remember going on under that certain bridge, or I can't remember going through traffic lights there." That's because you're in that hypnotic state. But if a car were to pull out in front of you, you'd snap out of that and you'd be able to react to that straight away. And that's how safe it is. Everyone goes into hypnotic states. Same as reading a book or getting engrossed in a film or anything like that. You're oblivious to what's around you because you're actually at that event at the time in your mind. You're there watching it, and then you can just snap out of it. And that's all hypnosis is. You're not asleep, and no one can make you do anything that you don't want to do. If you could do that, I'd be rich. I'd be getting everyone's PIN numbers from the cards. So you can't do that. No. If there's something when you're in hypnosis that's against your morals and you think, well, I'm not doing that, no, then you won't do it. It's all down to yourself. And it's all down to self-hypnosis and you believing that you can do it. One technique I give everyone is before they go to sleep every night is get some positive words, some positive suggestions, and keep repeating them over and over again just before you go to sleep. And I can guarantee you'll wake up positive, you'll wake up really full of energy, and you'll feel a lot better just by positive suggestions alone. But the main thing for mental health is not to hold it in, not to bottle it in, because you are like a pressure cooker that will build up and build up and build up. And if that isn't released, that's when people do something stupid. You need that release. You need to talk about people. And people that even don't know the therapy side of mental health, then just be there to listen. If you can just listen to what they're having to say, let them get it off the chest and just say some positive things. And that'll help immensely. It will.
No, excellent, Joe. I was a bit skeptical, like I probably said at the start with hypnotherapy, but having listened to you and kind of you explain it, it certainly makes a lot more sense in my mind. And I think what you're doing or what you've done over the course of your career, Bill, has been absolutely fantastic. And I'm sure you've helped lots and lots of kind of veterans with PTSD and among other things. So absolutely brilliant, Joe. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks a lot, Chris. I'm glad you've touching on and doing these podcasts. Anyone that can help with mental health, that gets the message out there that it's not a stigma anymore. A lot of us suffer from it, and just open up with it and talk to someone. Don't just let it bottle up.
No, 100%, 100%. I've got my selfish reasons as well. I get to learn stuff and talk to interested people as well. That's why I do it. But yeah, the main goal was always to kind of raise that awareness and get people talking. And it's a small thing that I do, but it's a kind of, hopefully it's a small part of the bigger picture, and people like yourself. And I'm all about helping kind of and getting people stories out there and kind of their professions and stuff that can help people that definitely need it. I think you get to a certain age where you just want to give something back, and that's kind of where I am now. You know, I've had a good life, and you know, I'm not saying I'm old. I'm only in my 40s, but I want to give something back. You know what I mean? So
yeah, totally
excellent, Joe.
Good thing. There's just one thing I'd like to give a bit of advice to any therapists out there is
Of course.
if you're dealing with mental health, especially if that's your full-time career or you're doing a lot of it like I used to at one time, is you've got to take a break from it, because you're taking on everyone's negative thoughts, all the problems, you're taking it on board. It's very hard to wash off, and sometimes it does live with you, and you're better off having a break. Keep having regular breaks from it, and then you'll be all right. Recharge your battery and go to the next one.
Brilliant, Joe. Well, like I say, thank you very much for your time. I will speak with you when I stop the recording in a minute after we finish. But for now, Joe, hopefully you'll stay in touch. And thank you very much for coming on.
Right. Thanks a lot, Chris. Cheers, mate.